What's going on with headsets?
I don't know. It's done it to us before. I want to say that there's a bad headset, and every time it's active or somebody has it and it's up top,
Right.
the signal just gets bad. And the channel on those are weird because, like, the one I have is the main one. It's like the cloud. It runs off of mine.
Right.
It shoots out to everybody else's, and I don't know if it was the wind or what. So every offensive possession, Adam would call me, and I would just put my phone underneath my muff because he would be in and out.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last thing you need is to be seen on the sideline on yourself.
Yeah, I know. So it kind of works out. I just put it there, and that muff just here I am. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna get AirPods. Me, TJ, him, and Cody will just be on a conference call.
Right.
If that happens again.
Okay.
That's easy enough.
And I'm like, I almost want to just do that anyway.
So that's what we do. If we do have a sideline person, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Somebody calls up top,
Yeah.
and then we just put that in, and that's what we talk off of.
You can add as many people you want, I think.
Right. So you don't listen in on Jack and them at all?
Yeah. there's two channels on the underneath.
So you switch in between.
And everybody has capability to switch back and forth.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what click.
Two channels,
Yeah.
just click. If everything's kosher, I'll flip over and listen while we're on defense. And like Lance is flipping back all game long
Oh,
for
shit.
special teams and running back rotations or whatever. But like, I don't ever hear Jack on offense. I don't ever hear Oren on offense or Brandon.
Oh, okay.
So they stay over there. So kind of like that.
So what's your overall thoughts on the game?
Man, I thought we played a really, really well ball game. I thought we played well. Just all three phases. Young guys got in, did a great job, and that's what I wanted to see. Like, if I draw it up, and say what I wanted, that's what it was. Pretty close to that. Just besides the punt debacle.
Yeah, that's
Again,
yeah.
I mean,
What?
Can you explain
I
the rule on
think
that?
Peyton was the only one that saw it, but he was the furthest one away.
Well, to talk about it, it made it look worse. It happened in El Reno. So the rule, Derek, the rule is if it rolls behind the line of scrimmage, whether it hits in front or behind and it rolls back behind the line of scrimmage, it's a live ball, just like a fumble. And so here we are. We talked it last 2 weeks, because it happened.
Right.
You never think that happens, but we talked it and stuff. And so it happens Friday. And our return is set up a return right. So all of our players are set up on our sideline. The ball's punted on their sideline. So
Well, it was a little bit different, too, because it bounced so far back. So you're kind of yelling Peter to get away because it was 10 yards or so past the line of scrimmage.
And so we're running return right. So we're on our sideline, and it's a Peter call because I'm definitely thinking Peter. I look at this at 10-yard threshold, and I'm just looking because at that point I can't yell and they can't hear anything I'm saying, and I'm just looking who's going to react. And I saw Jack and Colin react to it, I think.
And the kid didn't know what to do. He just stood there for a second, and then finally took off. But the only thing that saved him was he was on their sideline. So you could probably heard him say, "Yo, go."
It's so funny that happened because Coach Reed called me earlier in the week and was like, "Man, I got to ask because I saw it on film what happened in the El Reno game." And we were talking about it and just talking about how that'll never happen again. And it happens in our game.
First punt.
Yeah. And so I'm mad as hell because, we get a 3 and out and we got to go right back out on defense in that scenario. But
I thought potentially, because I saw Jack kind of arguing a little, I thought maybe that if it crossed the line of scrimmage at that point that it was done.
Yeah, no, at that point, that was our only arguing tactic.
Okay.
So,
because that was I saw him kind of, I couldn't hear, obviously, being up there, but I saw him kind of pointing and whatever, and I was like, okay, he's probably saying, well, it crossed.
Right.
Okay. But it doesn't matter. If it, at any point, when they pick it up, if they're behind the line of scrimmage,
it's a live ball.
What if it hits but if it hits anybody, it's dead?
If it hits somebody,
offense or
past
defense.
line of scrimmage,
okay.
Obviously it's live if it hits offense past line of scrimmage, and then it is down there, just like it would be if the defense downs it.
Okay.
Other than that, I mean, everything.
Yeah, Trey Harris, got kind of good news on him. He got an X-ray and he's got an MRI scheduled. So, nothing. Everything seems to be intact on the knee. So still got to see what the MRI says because that will be really telling. But he's in good spirits. Talked to Dad, and they've been speaking with Ashley on that deal. So probably the best case scenario right now on that deal. So wait for the MRI this week and then go from there. So
Brody is it low? Ankle?
Just the ankle sprain on both sides.
Okay.
So
Not higher.
No.
Low. Okay.
Yep. So he'll be fine. Started treatment today, so we'll see what he's like this week.
Short week though, so I mean
Short week, yeah. So that we'll have some guys ready for sure.
Yeah.
So we don't have the players of the week yet, right?
Right.
But we still have the honors of the week.
Okay. Yep.
So the practice player of the week, Thomas Finley.
Yeah, Thomas Finley. He was voted into our leadership council at the beginning of the year. Just a smart, intelligent, understands how practice works, understands what we need to get done during the week. And I tell them, I've started telling these guys every Thursday when we hand that award out, guys, it is hard to choose this because there's a lot of deserving players. He won it last year 1 week, and he won it again this year. And he works hard, man. He works hard. Undersized, he's got a scrap for everything.
Yeah.
But a great teammate to have, and a great guy we have on our team that plays his role real well.
He's a sophomore, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Black flag bearer. Peyton Christian.
Yep, Peyton Christian, man. He's, as Coach Baker says, he's kind of the when the black flag kind of come up, the first speech last year was before the Cash game. We shut him out, had a great night defensively. Peyton played real well. And I don't know, it just fit really perfect for him to carry it out this week. And, the homecoming deal and everything. It didn't make sense to me until now, but after we beat Cash last year, he had a crown on. And I was like, well, why you got a crown on, man? Well, I forgot it was Cash's homecoming, so he brought his own little crown. Fast forward a year, now our homecoming, he carries the black flag out, so kind of.
But Peyton's one of those kids, I mean, when you watch the games, seems like he's always in the right spot. May not be the most athletic person on the team, may not be the biggest, strongest, fastest, but he's always making plays. He's always in the right spot, and it seems like too a lot of the kids feed off of kind of him a little.
He's a football player. He's not going to jump out at you in a lot of those ways, but just a football player, man. And yeah, he's probably got the best energy on the team all the time.
Okay,
every coach loves coaching him because he just takes it and. You know what you're going to get every day when he shows up. And it's just.
And that makes it easy to coach.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It makes it fun too.
Absolutely. And he's really done a good job with that rover position because that's a tough position. You got to be kind of good in the run and the pass. And he's just scrappy and plays the edge real well and can, go down and mix up with the tight end too if we need him to. So.
Well, he seems like a smart football player too.
He is. He
played some quarterback.
He's got the quarterback background, so he understands, concepts and what people are trying to do. So that definitely helps him. And
it's fun to see him too this year on offense a little.
Yes.
Last year, he filled in a little at the running back spot when Matt was out that one game, but last year didn't really see much on offense. But now, got a touchdown in the game too, and good to see. Like I said, senior kind of been here through all the thick and thin, and surviving now and doing a good job. I mean, that's a pretty cool deal.
Can we talk a little bit about the captain, Colin Dolan?
Yeah, it's funny on the podcast. I can say this stuff. We've been trying to give it to him for the last 2 weeks. He's just had a little hiccup here or there, just kind of growing through things. But I handed it out, and before I announced who it was, I said I demand a lot out of this guy, and I am always just trying to get him to the next step because I think he has tremendous potential.
Yeah.
And so there's times where he probably. He may roll his eyes behind my back, but I'm trying to, hopefully years down the road, he goes, man, he was right. And he was trying to get me where I need to be. And it starts with the defense just because his presence is so big there. And it has been for a while. He just has so much football under his belt and has been well coached ever since, he was a little league. Understands it well, plays very confidently. And I think that's half the battle is he knows our calls, he knows checks and all those things. And then he's obviously 6'1", 210, playing middle linebacker and
gotten a lot faster.
Yeah, and looks so much better and has just developed a lot. And the main thing is he knows right from wrong. At the end of the day, he knows what we need to be doing. And a lot of times the words are coming out of his mouth when it's nut cutting time, and he knows that some things need to be done. He's going to do all he can to make sure those things are getting done, whether it's, going down on offense, driving, playing tight end. We need to stop here. Just understands the big moments real well and is a good leader in those moments when it can be tough for some people.
Well, and you guys as coaches can't always be the voice.
Yes.
You've got to have someone in the locker room, hopefully multiple people in the locker room, and on the field that rally the troops, give that,
right.
Let's go get them speech. You're not going to gain another yard, yada, yada, yada type stuff.
And that's where Colin's unique. We have the guys that can give those raw speeches amongst the team, and he's not one of those guys.
Right.
But he's more so a leader in practice when we need to be good at something. When he says, let's go, that has a lot of meaning to it.
Yeah, right.
And that's where his leadership is growing and is in a good spot. Because we do have a lot of leaders, and they lead in different ways, like you said. And that's his on-the-field mentality is, when he says, let's go. Yeah.
Tighten up, let's go. There's no more funny games and all that kind of stuff.
So, really good.
And he's only a junior.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot more football left to go for Elgin. And like I said, I think he does have the ability and the mentality to move on to the next level.
He's
at the size. Like I said, I think he's put himself in a good position to potentially play at the next level. Not sure what size level, but
right.
At the end of the day, when you play the next level, you play the next level.
Yeah.
It's all big time at that point.
This is moving a lot faster than I anticipated.
But we got a lot to catch up on, obviously. Yeah. We're halfway through the season, so we'll kind of do a recap kind of where we are. But go ahead.
Yeah, 100%. I want to talk about, your background with Noble.
Okay.
And, your relationship with coaches over there, and maybe kind of touch on like a little bit of the loss last year.
Yeah.
And, if there's any changes we're going to look forward to this year.
Yeah, so it kind of, goes back when I left Elgin and got a job. When I was looking for a job, I was kind of looking for a job that had some qualities that I was familiar with. And Noble, there's a lot of qualities that are similar to Elgin as far as obviously school size now, but community-wise and, their town is similar, small town, big district. Then I got up there and I felt real comfortable. Their administration was really nice, and and it was also my whole deal is I wanted to see if the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot there that year. Coach George is still there; he's the head coach. Coach Solomon is athletic director and offensive line coach. Coach Kyle Davidson is offensive coordinator. And Ray Crawley's the defensive coordinator. So I worked with all those guys, and so they're pretty much the same staff. Keith Treat's still there.
What was your role in that?
So I was wide receivers and special teams coordinator there.
Okay.
But like I said, I learned a lot from them, and when I turn the film on, I still see some of those things that when I was there that they're doing. So that, as far as background, I talked to those guys a little bit. Obviously, I will this week. It's kind of funny, the senior class this season, I had them as 7th grade middle school baseball as a middle school baseball head coach when I was over there.
Okay.
So when I run down the roster this weekend, saying, okay, yep, know him. So that's kind of cool. And it's the last time we'll play them too because they're moving to the other district. So kind of a cool deal. But yeah, I'll touch on last year going back over there. And I got to see a lot of those guys pregame. The superintendent came up to me and talked to me. He's a really great guy. And, they were very complimentary of us and everything. And so that was cool. And then, I felt really good that night until, we just couldn't get anything going. I mean, the bottom line is we couldn't get anything going.
Offensively or defensively.
No.
I mean, not that they had a great play. We we were kind of in a funk maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just a weird kind of plot. And we had a chance to win at the end, but it was just kind of an ugly, couldn't get anything going, plodding and offense or defense.
Yeah, I know, we didn't want to, but Adam and I kind of went back and watched the game, and I can't really tell you what we come up with for this year, but off the air I'll tell you. But needed to do that. Needed to have some self-reflection on that, because obviously it's the same defense that will be playing this year. The only thing difference is they don't have 2 Division I kids on the other side.
Right, you don't have a quarterback and receiver. Quarterback and receiver as good as those 2 guys were.
Yeah, but it is cool. Anytime you play somewhere where you were the year before, there's some background to it. And that one sucked last year, man. It hurt, but I didn't have to say much this morning. when we talked about our opponent next week.
Everybody kind of knows that.
The kids were ready, you know, and our kids are smart and they know. But yeah, like I said, or like we talked about last year, fall break. But it was played on Friday, which usually you play on Thursday, like we're gonna do. But yeah,
and then they had the weird. Was it 7:30 kickoff?
It was a late kickoff.
Yeah.
Like we were the latest kickoff that week in the state. It felt like.
Yeah.
And homecoming over there and this, that, and other. But we learned a lot from it. I know a lot of guys that are coming back this year. Mike Latasola sticks out because he had a tough matchup against the Harper kid.
Yeah.
And he learned a lot that night. And
that's what we kind of learned about Trey Harris a little bit too that night.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
He kind of came in and filled in some, so we kind of knew what he was capable of coming into this year based on that night. Yeah,
but, it's cool. Like, just from my standpoint, we're 6-0. Same spot going in this year. And, they knocked us off. So there's some more on the table this year. And I think 7-0 would be maybe the best start in Elgin history. May have to check that, but so yeah, there's a lot on the line. I'm glad we're at home. I'm glad fall break people can kind of rest up and still stay to our schedule and be ready to roll.
Talk about what it's like. I mean, I know Noble's really the only place other than Elgin, but talk about kind of what it's like. When you look across the sideline, you kind of know those guys and the kids. I mean. Talk about kind of some of that aspect of it and what it's like coaching in a situation like that.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I think of, so I kind of step back and look at is like growth of where it's at now.
Because you talk about you were coaching some of these kids in middle school baseball, and now they're seniors.
And I can turn the film on. I can still see those 7th graders, and I can see what attitudes,
mannerisms, and things like that.
And I can tell what kind of kids they are, and it makes sense. And some in a bad way, some in a good way. But yeah, I mean, even like coaching against those guys last year, I knew all the signals. Same, and that's going to happen. But I knew all the signals. I knew. What they lined up in on special teams, and
so you're saying you're a Houston Astro?
So I'm saying I might be. I'm saying it's whatever it takes. But yeah, that's the first thing I think about is just the growth of where the place is, how the kids have grown. Are they better? Are they worse? Those kinds of things. Even like coaching against coaches. Gone other places, and then we may not even play them, but I just look to see how they're developing and stuff, and just making sure that we're on par where we need to be.
Well, coaching is a fraternity. I mean, once you kind of coach on staff with somebody, I mean, you become friends. I mean, y'all spend more time than you do with your family a lot of times. So I mean, you kind of become brothers in a little fraternity type deal. So I mean, like you said, I mean, there's people. I'm not necessarily in the coaching world, but I mean. That I check up on that because I played or did whatever against them, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember,
I did the same thing, like, military wise, like, old soldiers,
Right.
NCOs and stuff, and check up on them, and see, hey man, homie got promoted.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, because when you spend that much time with, like I said, you become family. You become.
Yeah.
When you have football's one of those deals that you're all reaching for a common goal.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what season it is. Every season's a new common goal.
Yep.
Whether and goals change. You know what I'm saying? This year's goal is probably different than last year's goal was. Even to like Matt London's freshman year, that goal was way different than it is now. So every year is kind of a new fraternity class and a new deal. And like I said, when you kind of share blood, sweat, and tears and all that kind of stuff, it makes it sticks with you. And hey, I want to reach out and see how that guy's doing, or I want to see. Even if you don't call them, you still checking the newspapers, checking some of that stuff. What did he do? What's going on? Yeah.
Speaking of Lund, 195 yards last night.
Yeah, I talked to
142 away.
Yeah, 142 away. Joey
over
Goodman,
4.
Goodman from the Constitution called me and said was that his season high 195, and I thought, I don't know, I'd have to go back and look, but that might have been his season. His
might have been
single game high.
So far this year, maybe because
it was a quiet 195.
Well, it was 7 or 8 carries. It wasn't much to get to that point.
And truth be told, probably got 3 more carries than he would have on a normal rotation night. We called for him to go out there a couple more times so we can get this deal done.
142.
So
142 away. He got over 4,000, so he's over 4,000.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That's a number that's pretty remarkable when you think about it. Because 1,000 yards as a high school running back is not what it used to be potentially.
Right. Yeah. Game's changed.
Game has changed and whatnot. But at the end of the day, that means A, you stayed healthy. B, you started and played a lot of football.
Yep.
To get to that point, and then the record is for 4,320, I believe. And he's I got everything from David this morning, and he's 142 away.
It's so cool for me. Like, first of all, I feel like
4,300 is the record. So if he gets to 4,301 and he's 142 away.
Okay, good. We got a good round number there.
Yes.
But it's just really, really cool for me because there's times I look back at since I've been at Elgin, and then you throw something out like that Matt Lund has over 4,000 career rushing yards, and I said, damn, I've been on the sideline for every one of them. That's really cool. Yeah, that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me. And I'm starting to see some of those things with those kids that have been here for so long. Feats like that, and just watching them grow up and be able to achieve these goals and benchmarks and things like that. That's really cool for me.
Well, and talk about that a little, if you don't mind expounding on that. His growth not only as a player but as a person, and then as a running back. Some of those runs last night, I don't even know if last year Matt Lund gets 12 or 13 yards on some of those runs.
Yeah.
He is picking and choosing his way between the tackles a lot better now, and not always relying on the home run. And he's seeking kind of inside runs a little bit more. So just kind of talk a little bit about that, kind of because you've like you said, you've had every single yard.
Every yard. I've seen every one of them.
4,000, whatever.
It's just grown. It was his biggest jump has obviously been from his junior year to senior year, and you see that a lot in high school kids. But just as a running back, he's stronger. If you'll watch him this year, he's finishing runs with plus 1 yard after he's getting tackled. His feet are always moving forward, and just his vision is good. And this is kind of funny you asked that because I took Carson Hitt to the coaches show last week, and I said, well, which one do you like blocking better for? And he says, well, they're different. And he says where Matt helps us out a lot, where if he's comboing up to a back, Matt uses that to his advantage, And that second level defender, he puts him on the inside. Matt sets his move up. Where that's just a seasoned running back. He understands that if he has enough patience and lets that develop, he can have his lane.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, he's probably got 150 carries more than Ritson at this point.
Right, yeah, and you just see that.
Yeah.
And then that, I mean, I can go on and on about how he's developed as a running back, but just how his leadership, how he is as a teammate, that's probably the most special thing. Because I know that boy can run the football. Right? We watch him do that, and that's really cool, but he ain't going to be able to do that forever, and he's going to take these leadership things with him for the rest of his life. And I give Coach Hill a lot of credit on that because they spend a lot of time together. And if you ask Lance, he'll say the same thing. That's what he's most proud of, is how he's turned into obviously he's a captain. He takes that role very serious, and the young kids look up to him. I mean, he's got 4,000 yards.
Right.
You think Braxton Antuna thinks that he's got his eye on him?
Right.
Going into this year, he sent me a text, Coach, I want to be a captain. Okay, well, everybody wants to be a captain, but there's a little bit more to it, And he said, okay. And he said, how? He always asks questions, how or why or what do I need to do? And so you tell him, and he goes and does it, and that's just Matt. He's a worker. If he has a goal, he'll go get it, and he's going to work for it. But yeah, his growth, it's been fun to watch, really fun to watch, because it ain't been easy when he was getting carries as a freshman.
Right. He was 30 and 40 carries a game.
Yeah. Probably $140, $135.
Right.
It was funny, before his freshman season, I called his dad and I was just like, hey, you probably understand this, but he's going to get a lot of varsity carries. We've seen practice and stuff at this point, but I just want to let you know we're going to take care of him best we can. But, he's playing varsity football, and it's a big jump.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I'm, all in. And just from that, the whole journey up to this point, been really cool just to watch him grow and turn into the young man that he is, man.
Well, a lot of that stems back, like I said. I mean, I know I met his mom and dad several times, stuff like that. I mean, a lot of that stems back from at home as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing, like I said, and that you go down our roster and you can talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
95% of our kids. And I mean, that's a cool thing too, as well. That you're not having to teach them.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Home training along with football and everything like that.
Yeah. Without this yesterday, was they their weird shit they was doing on defense. Was that something that was planning for him? I mean, what was that?
No, they kind of had done it all year.
It's
so it got popular. Mississippi State maybe in it was a long time ago, and I can't remember who the defensive coordinator was, but it was just kind of that prowling.
Yeah.
It's hard to figure out who you're going to block and who's going to end up and where. But I mean, as long as you have an offensive line that says, okay, I'm going to block the A gap, the B gap, the C gap, then whoever shows in front of your face, it's really not that difficult to defend. And what happens too a lot of times is they're coming full speed at the snap, but if you pop that first line, then there's not much left behind it.
And that's the thing. Like we try to tell them all week, like they might make a play or two. They might, tackle us for.
But just get your hand on them and push them out of the way a little.
Yeah. But they may make a play because that's why they do it. And the people that are successful at it, they make plays. But I think aside from, we got tackled for no gain one time, and then maybe two the other time. We kind of found the spot in it, the soft spot in it the rest of the night, and we went slow. You guys saw that we were checking with the sideline and then kind of seeing where they are. And we had we had some audibles built in for Trace to call if they were,
overloaded,
basically like a adjusted to our adjustment.
Okay.
And then Trace was able to do that, but we just never really had to do that. But we got in some tackle oversets and they didn't adjust well. I think Matt's touchdown, his last one down our sideline, we were in a tackle overset and I don't think anybody touched him, and I think our middle receiver comboed with our left tackle down the field. We had our numbers were so good, and if you can get that defense the way that is, sometimes it's cool.
And tackle overset, what you mean is you brought another tackle over, so you kind of had one. You had one less on the right side of the ball, right? Because I think that one's on the left.
Yeah, so it appears that we have a tight end and a tackle guard center, but on the backside, but it's actually tied in to the guard.
Yeah.
And so we bring them over either way. We do it both ways and let those tackles get out in space. But yeah.
So since we kind of covered on Matt and talking about him as a senior, I mean, we got, I don't know if we touched on this the last time you were on here, we got 2 other captains that are your full-time captains. I mean, Keith Ferguson and Michael Adesola. So if you can kind of touch on those 2 and kind of go into detail about how they, not necessarily how they became captains, but you know, what they mean to the team and things like that. Because I mean, that's 3 pretty good ones to lean on as seniors. Not only as they're all great football players, but all of them are very good kids too.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk a little bit about Mike's NFL Network deal there too. So so go ahead.
Okay, we'll talk about Keith first. 8th grade, he came out, played football for the first time in his life. How
amazing is that, though?
Yeah,
that he's only 4 years really into this journey.
I'll always talk about that. Just how fresh it is to him still, even though if you turn the film on, it doesn't look that way.
Right.
Just an awesome kid. He's got a huge heart. He trusts in us with everything he got, and his parents are behind us. We've had some growing moments with Keith, and he's been receptive to every single one of them. But, talk about, obviously a big personality. If you're around, you're going to hear Keith, you're going to see Keith. And
it's hard to miss.
Yes. But always smiling, great.
And he's the baby.
I know, yeah.
4.0 student too, right?
Yep, 4.0 student.
Baby of 6, is it?
Yeah. And I think they're all over 6 foot tall. But, obviously, another alpha, people look up to him. He wants to succeed so bad to a fault sometimes. And that's a good thing for young kids to see, that he's hard on himself.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And he grows every day mentally. And he earned it this year, and he was a good leader for us last year at times. But yeah, talk about a kid that joined football as an 8th grader and then ends up being a senior captain. That's a cool journey too.
Right.
And Adam's done a phenomenal job with him, and just bringing him on, along the way and not letting him get away with anything, and kind of. He's kind of been on a fast track just because of his lack of reps and this, that, and the other. But like I said, super receptive to it. Huge heart, cares, loves his teammates, loves his coaches, and just a great example of what we want in a captain. But I'll tell you this, after what game was it? Cash or Weatherford, he wasn't a captain. And I took it away from him.
Yeah, went out there.
And that wasn't easy. That wasn't easy, but it was due to just some of his, the way he plays the game. Sometimes he can get caught up with being too much of a brute and letting some things get in the way. And I took it away from him, and it hurt him. It hurt him bad, and it wasn't easy for me to do. But and he took it serious the next week. Played well through El Reno. It wasn't an easy decision, but one, I wanted him to learn from it, and two, like, he wasn't being the captain that I wanted him to be, and now he is.
Wow.
And for 100%. And I talked to his parents about it, and that was a good lesson to learn. Like, and he will come back and talk about that, down the road, and so good growing moment for him, and like I said, man, it's just, he's an awesome kid.
Like I said, great family as well.
Oh man,
with it.
But yeah, man, and that's what I just want to say, that to say, like, nobody's perfect, and you can earn things back that you need to learn from, and that shows so much about his character, is how he responded to that moment, and that's when I knew for sure he's a captain.
Right? Because some kids could fold at that point and say, all right, cool. I'll earn this all summer.
He cares.
My teams, my team, my whatever.
He has a huge heart, cares, and it meant a lot to him to be that guy for us, and I was proud he got back to that.
And
so
Shout out to his mom. She sent me some pictures of the parade the other day of the kids on the float. I sent them to you too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, she's a photographer extraordinaire. Yeah, she's got some great ones of our little ones on the sidelines.
Yeah, last Saturday
doing things. She caught one of us after the parade during the pep rally.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's a good deal there. So let's move on.
Yeah, Mike. Michael is
another one that hadn't played football.
Yeah, 8th grade, first year. Matter of fact.
Yeah.
Since we're on that trend, moved here and he was a soccer player and we didn't have soccer in the fall. So Coach Laura was a middle school coach at that time still, and he was like, hey, you should probably come try this. He got his Josh too, but Mike, just talk about the standard. If you say it, he does it. And there's just totally trust you as a coach and then believes in it, goes and does it. And that's just how things work in his world. And he does it to the best of his ability. And then to couple that with just how he is as a human. He's he's a great human. Yes, sir. No, sir. There's no funny business. Sometimes I forget that he's a teenager just because he's kind of serious about his business and how to do things. And just a professional in the way that early in the year, and during the season, we'll have practice, and then we film our practice, and then, get home by 5 o'clock, and I've got a text from him, hey, go to play 34. How can I get better at this? He's just such a student of the game in that remark. But this is, I'll say this, there's a college recruiter come last spring, and, I think this is the best compliment I can give anybody. I told him, I said, if any of these guys out here could date my daughter, it would be Mike. And,
that's about as a girl dad. And we're all girl dads in this room now.
and it was received really well by the coach, just because he's a model citizen, and but don't let that fool you. He plays the game really well, and he
yes, he does.
He plays
turns it on.
Yeah. So.
Homecoming king as well.
Yeah.
Hey, what about his little brother? His little brother got a
pick six.
Yep.
Pick six as well.
Yep. So
and Caleb's not too shabby himself.
No, man.
He's a youngster, but he can go.
He can play. He can play. So
during, and just to kind of reference the type of kid and whatnot he is, during the homecoming presentation, they kind of do a quick little interview, and then they announce it over the speakers of what all this is going on. And one of the things that they said that when it got to Mike is, one of the things he wanted to do is to thank his mom for all the sacrifices that she did to put him into the situation that they're in now. And that was read over the loudspeaker, so obviously he made sure that I want this in here when you're talking about me. That goes to show, how probably great of never met her, but how great of a woman she is to have 3 kids that are as solid as those guys are, but also Mike's understanding of my mom, is shit. She's done everything that she's been able to do to get us here.
She's really, I know her through Caleb mostly. A doctor. She I've seen her a lot of practices there, supporting the kids. She was really involved.
And let's talk a little bit about the NFL Network.
So
he made it to NFL Network. So that's a national program. Became the How You Play or whatever. I can't remember the exact title that he got, given by one of the McCourty brothers or whatever,
Super Bowl
champ and whatnot. Recognized Mike on a film or whatever, How We Play or whatever the name of it was.
Just a little, a sweepstakes of sending a video in of football, and Mike, that was all Mike. He sent it in during obviously after the Bethany scrimmage. That was the footage, and I guarantee you he did it because of the deal that said your football program will get $3,000 if you win. It wasn't about Mike sending it in. It was, I can do this for us.
Right.
And that's really cool, man.
So that's what I'm saying. I mean, yeah. So explain that. Like, so with him winning that award or them recognizing him or whatever, Elgin's going to get a $3,000 grant that goes to the football team and whatnot.
Right.
And you guys weren't the one that sent that video in.
Nope.
100% it was all Mike.
Nope. I learned.
Mike pulled a clip from a scrimmage and said, "This is the best play I made all day," and coaches obviously liked the way that I did it, so I'm going to send this one in and see if we can get our team $3,000.
Yeah,
and
I learned of it. I think it was Friday at lunch. I learned of it.
Same time that the video went
out. I had no idea, and Mike wasn't going to tell me, "Oh, hey, I sent this in trying to get us money." He just goes about his business, like I said, and. He's one of a kind. And I get to coach him at wide receiver every day. And being our senior, him and Trey, they lead that group, and it's just cool to watch him lead his position, lead the team, take care of his brothers, and just do all those things as a high school student.
Well, and to piggyback a little bit off of that, just to kind of talk about his character. I mean, receivers are kind of that on the football field. Yeah. Receivers are usually that diva spot. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And coming into this year, everybody assumed that he would probably explode.
Yep.
He has played phenomenally all year. But doesn't have quite the numbers that we thought he would. Now, a lot of that is game planning because I think a lot of people are rolling some coverages to him and things like that because they also knew coming in that he potentially was one of our better receivers, if not our best receiver. But talk about that hasn't changed his. He does not have the receiver diva idea. No. He's not in the huddle going, "Trish, you got to throw me the ball."
No, yeah. Hey, I played receiver. I may have got that way at times. Tanner Jackson might have been getting the balls. I thought I could have got a couple more. Coach Laura, I hope you're listening. But no, Mike has not wavered.
Yeah, throw me the damn ball.
Yeah, Mike has not wavered one bit. And we talked early. Anadarko, I think he had one touch. A big blowout win. Everybody scored but Mike. It was one of those deals.
Right.
And he's still smiling on the sideline after the game. And I said, "Listen, it's a different year, and it's a good problem to have." And he understood that immediately. Hey, we can spread the ball out, and and then you go to Weatherford. We send him in motion, play action. His motion carries into a wheel route. Everybody goes with Mike. Throw it to Brody, 57-yard touchdown.
Right.
And I said, "Mike, that's because of you."
That's because of you.
He said, "All right, I can do that."
Well, and then on all the touchdowns last night on the little swing routes,
he's
out there. He was the first one out there blocking and not, laying or whatever. Yeah. He knows if I do my job, then somebody's going to score a touchdown. He's the first one in the end zone, high-fiving Peyton, Brody, and whoever else may have. I know Kaysen scored one, but I don't think he was in at that point. But still, I mean that just goes to show, like I said, what type of kid he is, and he can play at the next level. I mean, I really think he can.
100%. Yeah.
And then, like you said, Josh had the big game as well. And Josh sometimes gets lost in that shuffle because you hear Mike and this, that, and the other. But Josh is just is a dang good football player too.
Yep. And he's going to get his opportunities this week. And he's ready. He's a guy that's always prepared, always ready. Very smart, and his time's coming. He's had a great attitude as well. Through. Because he's a guy that would start on a lot of football teams.
Yeah, I agree. With that in the back four, whether it be safety or corner, I think he could start
either side.
Yeah.
He's a really good special teams player for us. Won that award before. So that just goes back to they believe in what the coaches are telling them and how they should carry themselves. And when you just make it simple like that, the game's fun and you're going to find success and you ain't got to worry about anything else. And those kids do that to the maximum. But
I think it's also a credit to you guys as a coaching staff to get the kids to buy in. I mean, yes, a lot of it is on their attitudes and whatnot, but I mean, you guys present it in a way that they have bought in. No, not at all.
you got to work at that too,
but I think it all starts with the relationships that you have with the kids.
Yeah, if you have
all of your coaches seem to, absolutely, whether it's their position group, and I mean sometimes it's not even their position group. Like Lance said the other day, I mean he doesn't coach Shea Spencer at all.
Yeah,
not a single, but those two guys are super super close.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just one of those deals where. It's fun, like I said, as a semi-outsider,
right?
It's fun to watch, and it's fun to be a part of.
What about that hit Shea had last night?
Oh, somebody's got to start trying to block him.
Good luck.
I mean, and if they block him, he's gonna defeat the block. But I think that's the third game in a row where they just completely miss assignment, and don't leave him unblocked because that will happen.
Yeah, man, that was I gotta get that. I gotta clip that.
Yeah,
but I mean, how much of a, and I think we probably talked about this the last time you were on. How much of a difference has he made on the defensive side of things? I mean, last year he played center and didn't really play much defense.
Right.
And this year he has blossomed into, I mean, with those front three.
Oh yeah,
I mean, that's a pretty stout front three. I mean, Jace does a great job in the middle.
Yes.
Jack is Jack, and Jack continues to do what he's done. But now Shea on that outside has kind of transformed the entire defense.
Yes. It's kind of funny. We lead into that. I was talking with Coach Reed from Altus before the game, and he was just complimenting our players and just kind of exchanging some talk. And he said, we got to talk about D-line, and I said, I like 58 for us, and he said, the guy that I have graded highest for you guys is 77.
Yeah.
And, and he's also played really well the last two games, which is the film that they have. But yeah, so, I mean, but you look at any great team that makes a deep run and their D-line's really good.
Offensive line to run.
And they can run the ball.
Yeah.
So, and that's due to the growth of Shea, the growth of those, Keith, Jace, Jack, everybody up front, Carson, Hudson.
Then the defensive side of the ball, too. Now you get Philip Peabody in there to get some reps. You get Kephart in there to get some reps. Yeah. Last night, Dylan Brown did a good job on the outside as well. So now it's starting to get to that point where you're getting some depth.
Yep.
And that's where you can really make a run.
Fresh. Philip can make some plays. That makes us even better, and he has. So
Well, it makes a kid like Jace and Shea. I can come out for a player too.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, not only from the coach's perspective, but sometimes kids, that dude's a slap. I'm not, I'm not coming out because God knows what's going to happen.
Right. No, I mean, we got games coming down the line where we're going to have that.
Yeah.
Have to have that.
Yeah,
and
no doubt.
So, getting ready every week and kind of polishing up those rotating guys, I think it's going to make us better. And, to your point, if, we got guys rotated in and they're making plays, that's probably going to make Jace and Shea hungrier to go, okay, I'm going to go. I'm ready to go make my plays.
Right.
So really good to keep developing and getting some depth there. And, rest those guys because they go both ways. But they can do it. Shea is really, really impressed us with his shape and condition. And, Jace has done it for a year now. And, they're hard to plan for. I don't want to plan for those guys if I was trying to block them.
No. That is not a fun task at all. And like I said, Jace kind of is the semi-unsung guy to a certain degree because I don't think people understand his job. It's not necessarily to make tackles.
Right.
And stuff. His job is just to clog everything up and does a great job of it and allows Ritson and Colin to kind of run free, allows Shea to have one-on-one on the outside, Jack to have one-on-one on the outside. So like I said, you might not hear Jace's name as much as far as tackles and some of those, big plays or not. But, he does a great job there in the middle, just kind of, and they know. Tony Saragusa type, just kind of just clogging up that middle.
And if they don't, then he's going to be making the plays that Shea's making. Right. So it's pick your poison and depending on what they're doing. But pick your poison. So
I want to touch on a little bit about the quarterback play last night. We had a lot of different quarterbacks. Boleto got to come in last night. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, Caden he's been progressing real well and got in last night. That was his first varsity minutes.
First varsity touchdown.
Yeah. And we threw it twice with him, and they mixed up coverages on us on the first pass play, so we were kind of like, all right, let's see what he does. But it was a good learning moment for him, and then responds, I think, 2
ball
plays.
comes out of his hand good, though.
Yeah, does it well.
Yeah.
And then, throws a touchdown later. So really good to develop those guys, because one of these days, Trace will graduate.
Seems like it's going to take forever.
Yeah, and that's
He's
fine.
been around for a while.
Yeah, that's fine. Right. I'm glad he's still around for a while, but it's important to develop those guys, and it's a unique situation having 2 freshman quarterbacks, and Jackson got a series after that.
Well, and to me, they seem completely different.
They are, they bring a lot of different things to the table.
Right.
And I think that, if we were in a world where if we just had one of them, I don't know if they would be getting pushed the way that he is if, he didn't have somebody else in his grade,
Is there any examples of success with 2 quarterbacks that you can think of?
The old saying is, if you have 2, you don't have 1. But then, you look at Chris Leak, Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
That's going back. That's college and going back a little ways. When Tebow was young, they did a good job of kind of mixing the 2. You hear that old saying of, if you have 2, you don't have 1. And what, from a coach's perspective, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but you want one to pull away,
right,
and be the dude.
Yes.
It's hard to figure out who's the dude when they're freshmen and they're backups.
Yes.
Because they're not getting... Right. You can watch as much as you want at practice, but you don't ever really find out who a dude is until the lights come on and things like that.
Yeah.
And JV games are one thing and things, but those are different.
And
So when once Trace is, graduated and moved on and whatnot, you're just going to want one of them to probably, turn into the dude. Yeah. Because if not, like I said, you're kind of in that situation, not only just because they bring 2 different things to the table. It's hard to get some consistency as an offense when you're having almost 2 separate offenses. Yep. Even if they were the same exact player, they have different cadences. They have different things. So it's hard for the offensive line to get a timing together, get a rhythm together, and some of that type of stuff. Yep. And I don't think that's where the old saying is, if you have 2, you don't have 1. Because that's, it goes beyond just the way that they play and the way that they throw and some of that type of stuff. Like I said, cadence, the way that they talk to kids, some of that type of stuff, comes into play. It makes it, as an offensive lineman or a running back or receiver, I got to act like this on this drive, and I got to act like that on that drive.
Right. He hands the ball off a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a little bit higher. It's a little bit lower. It's some of that type of stuff.
Yeah, we're just in a good. You're right. We're just in a good position where those guys just need to keep developing. You don't know when you're ready until you get out there under the lights, like you said. I go back to when we threw Trace out in the fire as a freshman, and he went through his struggles. For sure.
And was he ready? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But that's what you got, so you learn on the fly. So he got more valuable reps than those guys got.
Right.
And then that's kind of what we talked about a little bit when TJ was here. Right. TJ got thrown in the reps and started doing things as a freshman because, I didn't start playing quarterback until I was a junior.
Right.
I was a backup.
Yeah, it's all about where you don't
learn. Yeah, you don't learn much as a back. You can learn a lot as a backup. The best advice for Jackson and Boleto right now, watch what Trace is doing during the game.
Yes.
Watch what he's doing at practice. And I said that last week with TJ. The most learning I ever did as a quarterback, and was in college, was as a sophomore behind a guy that played it so dang well.
Yes,
that was 100%. The most. So for Jackson and Kate, they need to study. I know it's hard because it's high school and and he's a junior year freshman and things like that. But they need to, be sitting there watching Trace every single throw that he throws, they need to be going in on Saturday and with the clicker in their hand, going back and watching every single throw. Yep. Because Trace is a good one to learn from. He's a smart quarterback. Yep. He has grown up in the system. He's played a lot of football. But Trace also got a lot of learning and things to get better as a quarterback. Yeah. But that's the best way is to watch somebody else do it. Yeah. I mean, you can coach as much as you want. TJ can do as much as you want. You as a head coach can do as much as you want, but y'all aren't in the fire. No, yeah. Trace is sitting in there on a Friday night in the pocket, and we can all sit here and say, "Oh, well, I would have did this on training." Or hey, until you ever have been back there, you can't say what you would do in that situation. Sit on the sideline and say, "Who's over?" Right. But that would be my advice to those guys and their families. Hey, watch this and watch him and study this and learn from that. And pick one of your favorite college or NFL quarterbacks and watch every throw and watch every take the games, whatever it may be, to learn how to play quarterback.
Yep, 100%. They're both in a good position. Like we're in a position where they're getting a little bit of burn in the second half in some games
but they're not being rushed and learning bad things.
No, yeah. So and they're seeing signals. Every Friday night they're learning. This, that, and the other. So they're both in a good spot, and it's just right where they need to be. And you can't rush those things. And we're just in a good program state where we don't have to put out a 14-year-old quarterback to play varsity for us, and so it's good problems to have, and they're gonna keep developing, and they have a good coach, and I'm excited for their development to keep going.
Well, I'll talk a little bit about. Since we're on quarterbacks and things right now, talk about Trace. We're at 19 touchdowns for the year now. Yeah. I think 10 last year. Yeah. 2 interceptions. Above 70%. I know 70% is kind of that benchmark potentially. What was he, 5 for 7? Like I said, we're not asking him to do
7 for 9
a ton, but when we ask him to do it, he's efficient.
Yes, and man, he was captain for the Ardmore game, and I told him, I said, this is a guy that has probably caught the most flack, probably been, ridiculed, and has answered the bell this offseason and has worked, and you see it, on Friday nights, and he's settling in. And we talked before the season started, I said, your junior year, it's time to start playing football, and he's playing some really good football for us. Super efficient, and I think TJ's been a good addition of just pushing efficiency and taking the under stuff. We've thrown the swinger out 5 times this year for touchdowns. That's not a hard throw, right?
Well, and then what do you have? 4 touchdowns last night. No, 3 touchdowns last night because Caden threw the So he had 3 touchdowns last night that went a total of 7 yards in the air, maybe. Yes. But they were probably 100 yards worth of touchdown, worth of yardage. Yeah, and I think the old Trace wants to throw it 60 yards. And get the touchdown.
And I'll take some of that too, just because of our offensive philosophy has changed a little bit, where we were kind of hanging our hat on run, and then we do want to take our shots because he was young and we didn't maybe want to go through as many progressions as we wanted to. Right. But now he's smart. He can run through progressions and throw leverage, and so
if you're 1 for 1 for 80 yards in the book, I don't care if you threw it 80 yards or you threw it 3 yards. You're still 1 for 1 for 80 yards.
Jam shot blooper that goes over the second baseman still looks like a
it's 1 for 1 on the scorebook.
So he's learning that, and like I said, we've changed some things offensively this year to get him and us in situations where we can throw it short, and we got more playmakers. That's another thing. So it's I think we're doing a good job all around. He is being efficient with it.
Well, and he's learning that the touch pass. Mm-hmm. He's learning kind of those intermediate balls. He's learning those crossers to Brody and to Peyton and some of the Andre Crabtree. He's learning some of those that weren't really in his repertoire.
No.
Last year, I would say it was throw it as far as I can.
Yep.
Or let's boot and throw a deep comeback to Mike.
Yeah. No, he's
and it was one read routes.
Yeah. His game's better. His feet are better in the pocket. He's been able to shift the pocket and stand there and make throws. That's what we needed. People are going to know Matt Ridson's going to run the ball.
Yeah.
And now they go, golly, where do I start to defend these guys?
Right.
And that's, Tracy's put that work in to make us, two-dimensional. And, if we wanted to, I think we could go out and be 70-30 pass, and I think we'd have good nights.
I think you'd still be, you'd still be fine.
You know what I'm saying? So
with the playmakers now that you have on the outside.
Yeah.
Trey Crabtree's really stepped up.
Yeah.
Mike is what Mike is. Adam Eaton.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit. That play on his touchdown.
Yeah.
What kind of weapon can he be at, what is he, 6'4"?
He's 6'4".
He's 6'4", I think.
And
number 88, right?
Yeah, you threw a 4-yard pass to him, and then he was giraffing down the sidelines with a lot of speed.
We joked about it because in track he runs the quarter, he runs the 400, and so you can imagine him running the 400 in track.
It's about 7 steps.
Yeah, he's done. So once he caught the ball and turned up, I said, Adam, that looks like the first 100 of your quarter right there. But yeah, good hands there, and I don't think people like turning film on and seeing that guy and going, oh my gosh, we got to defend him too.
Right.
And so getting him in the mix is good, and he's getting back healthy too, which is good. We need that to add some depth to the tight end room. As we're playing with more of those guys. But yeah, he caught, it was at the line of scrimmage because it was a run play, so it's really RPO, and what was it, 30 yard?
30, yeah.
So he takes it, a 1 yard pass, and Peyton and Trey make great blocks on the outside, and a 6'4", 180-pound kid is outrunning the secondary down the sideline. So that's good to see. Yeah, that's really good to see for us. And
as an opponent on film, you're going, oh, great.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, that was a run play. That was a run designed to Matt.
Yep.
Or Rich, I don't know who was in at the time, but as a run option.
Yeah, so we're running counter. So the Owls run counter. Your linebackers better go with it. But we're going to dish it back out. But they were still going
to dish it back there, and now all of a sudden you got, like you said, 6'4", 180.
Yeah, and Peyton
running down the sideline like it's nothing.
Yeah, that's exactly how we drew it up. That's fun when they work out like that. Because they don't always.
They don't always at all.
I want to kind of get your perspective on playoffs.
Okay.
So what do you think? How do you think it's going to line up? If you just have to pick right now, how do you think the seed's going to go?
I want to finish first.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not really talking about that. I know we're going to finish first. I'm talking about everybody else.
That's right. That's right, Coach B. So as far as like who the first round game.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
You're probably looking at Piedmont or Bishop McGuinness, maybe.
Yep. So Piedmont, Bishop McGuinness is kind of who would shake out as 3 and 4. And you're thinking Carl Albert and Guthrie finish 1 or 2, however that shakes out. So we'll match up with one of those guys. If we take care of business and if we finish 1, we would host the 4. And so it's still up in the air. Like people keep kind of pushing that on me. I think we're 1 week out for having like a really good idea. Because you got Mac Midwest City this week.
Yeah.
And then as far as
because El Reno's kind of coming on. Yep. It helps that we've already got that win against El Reno. So El Reno's kind of coming on. But, you look at it, 5A2 last year, swept.
I know.
So, that's a...
Yeah.
So those guys are good football teams. Yeah, those guys are good football teams on that side of the bracket. I think the 4 kind of maybe settled in 5-2A.
Yeah.
I think now that Piedmont went and took care of Eisenhower, I think it's going to end up Carl Albert, Guthrie, Piedmont, Bishop McGuinness, that's the 4.
Yeah.
We don't know necessarily what that 4. We don't know who's going to be in that 3 and 4 spot. I think Carl Albert's probably going to finish 1. I think they kind of have separated themselves a little in that district. Guthrie obviously took care of Piedmont pretty good.
Yep.
So that's probably your 1 and 2. But 3 and 4, it depends on kind of how that Piedmont and Bishop McGuinness game plays out.
And those guys play.
What week is that?
That's Piedmont, Bishop McGuinness play week 9. So that'll be
somebody's saying same time we played McCarthy.
Yeah. So and it's these are all generated. These aren't handpicked or anything, and it just works out that both districts will be kind of figured out by week 9. So
because I don't think Bishop McGuinness has a week 10.
Because they have
the 17 district, so they might play a game, but they don't necessarily. It's not a district game, so their seeding is going to kind of be locked in at that point.
It's just so backloaded in both districts. 9 and 10 will be very, very interesting. This week will be very interesting. If you look at the back of MacArthur's schedule, it doesn't get easy. They finish with.
They still have El Reno.
They finish. They're going to go Midwest City, El Reno, Elgin, Noble.
Right.
So
if El Reno, if the running back there, Nicholson,
if they've got that guy going, they're hard.
Yeah, they're hard to stop.
Yeah.
We learned that in the first half. We were up 28-14, but that was because of, some, great defensive plays.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you look at it, they ran 39 plays, we ran 11.
Yep.
That could have been 28-14 them easily.
Yeah.
Without some of the big plays, the long interception, and then the fumble at the goal line and things like that.
To your playoff point, kind of how if you would go to OSSA and print out a bracket, you can kind of see how it breaks down. And just from what I know and just looking at it, the first round game, just with how the season's gone and keeping up with the other districts, could be tougher than the second round game.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, because we would roll into...
Because then you're looking at the 2 or 3 seed out of 5A3 and 5A4, which are the east side.
East side, yeah.
So, you just look at kind of the power index, if you will, of, the rankings and how the east side stacks up. And sometimes it could be like that because 5A2 is who we match up with, and that's probably the toughest overall district in 5A. So you definitely got to be ready to roll right out that gate.
And you still got Del City out there, kind of looming.
Yeah.
And now we would probably not match up with them in the second round if we were able to get that 1 spot and we were able to win week 1.
Yep.
We would maybe meet up with either Carl Albert or Del City potentially in that semi.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, we're putting ourselves in the best position possible as long as we keep taking care of business.
Yep.
You lose a game and we're only 6 weeks in, so there's a lot of football left to play.
Yeah,
I think we'll tell a lot this week between Midwest City and MacArthur. Depending on how that one shakes out, will kind of give us an idea of not necessarily where we are in the district, but it'll kind of give us a better idea because right now, just us and Mac are undefeated.
Yeah.
So, if Midwest City can, I don't know where that game is. Is it
Midwest City?
Okay. So, if Mac goes up there and loses, well, now all of a sudden we're the only undefeated with all the points necessary that we can have. That goes a long way into where we can kind of finish. Because, if Mac goes in there and beats them, now all of a sudden Midwest City has got 2 losses, and now it's kind of us and Mac kind of fighting for that.
Then you could get into a scenario where even if that plays out, you beat MacArthur, you could lose the Midwest City, still be the 1 seed.
Still be the 1 seed, potentially, depending on points and some other things.
9 and 10 is really when that starts breaking down. You can see things.
Well, yeah, people, like I said, just like college football,
preseason you can sit here and talk all this stuff.
Preseason rankings and all that kind of, and at the end of the day, you're an injury away.
Yeah, that's
from changing your entire season. whether it's us, MacArthur, whoever. Because, I think Midwest City's quarterback's currently out.
Yeah, I think so.
So, that's part of the reason, Reno, everybody kind of looks at that. But, if you're not looking at it from a totality standpoint, Midwest City's quarterback is out. If Trace is out for us, we just talked about Jackson and Caden a ton. But, are we rocking into somewhere,
right.
Are we scoring 57 points against this last team that we played?
That's what, you can, talk about all you want. That's why our guys.
That's why they play the game.
You play the game. And, I see it. Yes, I look at it. I should as the coach, but my guys know we got to go beat Noble. And because if they get wrapped up in it, we're in trouble. We're focused on.
And I don't think that's what happened last year, but
no.
you know what I'm saying? It was one of those deals. It was just a weird deal last year with Noble. I'm glad that we have them at home, and I'm glad with the short week that we do have Noble.
Yes,
because I think anybody else you could kind of you kicked ass in a homecoming game, then you got the homecoming dance, then you're off of school for the next. Yeah. If we were playing anybody else other than Noble, I think you might have to kind of, as a coach, create kind of some.
I might have to crack the
whip, or create some sort of. Hey, this guy says,
Glenn's
Glenn said you guys aren't in the top tier, but
not before.
You know what I'm saying? But with it being Noble, it's one of those. Hey, they came in here. Well, we went up there, and they got after us.
Yeah,
and that's also a great part of returning basically an entire team.
Yeah,
it's not like 4 kids that are going, oh, hey guys, I got to tell y'all about this. You got 20, you got 50 something kids on the team that's out there. Right.
This morning I did not have to say much.
Right. And that goes a long way.
Yeah.
But we're 6 weeks into the season. Obviously, we're 6-0, 3-0 in district, full allotted amount of points. As head coach, where do you feel that we are? I know last year we talked about it after this week, and we were going. Did you think we were going to be 6-0?
Right. And that's how.
And then after the Noble game, I was like, hey, let's put this in perspective.
Yeah,
we're 6-1. Did you think we'd be here? Yeah,
right.
So
that was good to hear. And I'm going to go straight back to last year. Last year set us up for this year.
Yeah.
Because if we go in and struggle last year and are 5-5 or whatever, then we're not poised to be where we are now. So very, very pleased with how that panned out last year. Yes, first round exit, no good. But now with, the grades, seniors, the juniors, the sophomores, where we're at now, we're going to reap a lot more this season than we would have if we didn't do what we did last year.
Right. Because if you don't have that Guthrie game, you don't have a lot to work for that during the offseason.
100%.
And the best comment I think I've heard, I love Trey Crabtree's comment when Eric Sherem said something about it. He said this is a 14-week journey. But I think the best comment of everybody was Keith's.
Yep.
When Eric said something about, you guys had a great year last year. He was like, well, last year ended on a 2-game losing streak. Yep. So I don't know why you thought that last year was great. And I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
We're bought in. We understand what's going on.
Yeah. And we slip up at practice or this, that, and the other. We get reminded of that real quick. And they're real receptive to it because they did not like what happened at the end of last year. No,
nobody wants to lose.
Nobody wants
to lose at home and play. And
it would be way different if we lost a huge senior class and it's more of a turnover.
Yeah.
No, everything I say about last year,
it resonates.
Yeah, everybody was on the field pretty much. Aside from a few of those guys. So. Yeah, when you say great to have.
Yeah, because when you say that, just kind of, when you say that as a coach, when you've got 20 new starters,
they're like
the cockiness of a football player is going to be like, but I didn't.
Yeah, but it wasn't me.
Yeah,
I wasn't out there.
Right.
So, and I wouldn't have said that if that was the case, right? So, you got to really feed into what your kids are going to believe.
Yeah.
So, it sucked, but it's one of the greatest driving forces we have for this season.
Well, and every good dynasty, good football team, when you look back at it, lost.
Yeah,
at some point
there was a spark.
There was some sort of spark, whether in the regular season, whether it was playoffs, whatever it was.
Yep.
They didn't get over the hump, and that used that as motivation to get over the hump, and that's kind of where we are now. And that was a good thing about us, like you said, bringing back an entire team.
Yes, and there's veteran teams out there that are doing the same thing we're doing. So. We've got to keep chasing it, and just because we bring everybody back and we're learning lessons, don't mean we got to keep chasing. And our guys do such a good job of knowing that and listening to what's important and those things. But yeah, man, just to kind of, that's the biggest thing that drives us is what happened last year, and we're so receptive to it. Same guys hearing that message, that sat in that locker room after defeat and hurt, and this is a message I left them with last year because I knew it would, a year later still hurt. I said, remember how you feel now because you're going to be back. Remember how you feel now and, get us to where we can get past this.
But this 6-0 this year compared to 6-0 last year is completely different.
I don't even feel like I've never said, man, we're 6-0. Last year we were saying, we're 6-0.
Yeah, I don't remember what week it was, but I kind of talked after one of the games. It was like, God, we can be so much better, but we just won, whatever the score was, and we were not disappointed, but
that's the kids. We went whatever Ardmore. I was not mad, but I told them we got to get better.
Yeah, and they. Yeah, they took it and they understood it.
After whoever, and that's been the message. And I told them, I said, this is just where we're at from a program. We won 42-7, and I'm in here harping. That's where we want to be. That's where you guys want to be.
Last year we went 42-7.
Yeah,
it's cannons, it's fireworks, it's whatever.
And it should be because we're building.
Yeah,
we're building.
No, I agree totally.
And every year is different. The message is different, but yeah, for sure. And so it's been cool, and it's been cool to keep on evolving because you got to keep it doing that every year. But yeah, man, kids say good things and they believe it. And it is a different 6-0.
Yeah, last year it was a giddy.
It is a different feeling.
We're about at that mark, so I'm going to go with final words.
Okay.
I'll go first, and I'm like in it with Coach Wyatt. I think depth is our key, right?
Oh,
yeah. We've talked about it throughout the podcast. I think our depth really sets us apart from other teams. And after the game yesterday, we sat back and we watched some of the game that was still going on, and they still had their A team in. Y'all done such a good job developing these football players. At all levels, and we've talked about the freshmen that are coming up now. They're getting playing time. You know what I mean? They were set back there that they understand the standard. They understand what it's like to play our football.
Yeah, and they're getting time in varsity games. Braxton Tuna, Talented Nippa, Casey Myers scored a touchdown last night. Boleto threw a touchdown last night. Those guys are getting reps in varsity games where they're not asked to do as much as Trace and some of those things. So they're learning, like Trace and Matt and some of those guys that were getting those reps as freshmen, they were learning. They weren't necessarily learning from them. They were just forced to do it.
Yeah, and they were taking it on the chin while they were doing it.
They were taking it on the chin. Like the kids that are now fresh, they're not necessarily...
They're going out there and they are continuing...
But they're not necessarily taking it on the chin.
No, I'm saying they're continuing to do what we did in the first half.
Yeah.
Just at a smaller level.
Yeah.
Because they're not where they need to be yet. But yeah, and that's just that's just development.
Well, and that leads them into sophomore, junior years coming in with supreme confidence.
Yes, yeah.
Compared to, is it going to be another, deal like it was? My final words and things like that. Congratulations, 6-0. to win any football game is a hard deal. Yes. I know the scores might not necessarily represent the way, and I think people are, we're rocking and rolling, but to win any football game is a hard deal. So congratulations on 6-0 start. Congratulations 3-0 in the district with the 45 points. We set ourselves up as good as we possibly could, but there's 4 weeks left. Every game is different. We said we learned that last year. We thought we were rolling in Noble with no problems. Yeah. And obviously we had a problem. So want to make sure that Thursday we take care of business, go take care of business in Duncan, and then come back for the big one on senior night against MacArthur. We'll learn a little bit more about MacArthur. We'll learn a little bit more about Midwest City this week with their matchup. So that'll be a fun one to watch. I think it's on Friday. So you can obviously watch it on Oklahoma Sports Network. So hopefully we take care of business on Thursday, and you can watch that one on Friday. But looking forward to kind of this week and taking care of business and kind of handling Noble and kind of getting a little bit of payback there, and then setting us up pretty leading on into kind of that stretch run. Because like I said, it's all great and wonderful, but we don't want to end week 11. The goal is week 14, so we need to continue to push and continue to get to that spot. And we put ourselves in a great position. The kids are in a good mindset, and congratulations to you guys, because you guys are doing a great job of pushing the kids, but also involving the community. What can you say about the community? Last night, packed house for homecoming. We were on a 3-week road. We were on a 3-week road trip prior to that, and the way that the fans have traveled to the games, and then the support that they give us on OSN, and the support throughout the week that they give us on the podcast, and then just in general as a community. Everything that the quarterback, the quarterback club puts out. Everybody shares. Everybody's bought in right now, and it's a great time to be at El Janowel. Talked a little bit about it last week, but congratulations to Levi Garrett and that crew going to state with the softball team. So hopefully they can get that accomplished as well. It's a great time to be an Owl. Yes, and it's a fun time to be a part of it. And absolutely, looking forward to continuing to say my woos. Yes, more. Jack might not like them, but hey, 14 weeks of them. That's what I want. Right. Now it's up to you, man. Last words. You're the head honcho. You're the head owl. Man,
first of all, it's great to be back on the podcast, But yeah, man, just echo Vincent. You said it all. We just, what we want to do is we want to do things right. We want to work hard, and we don't want to leave any stones unturned. And our goal is a state championship. We're gonna die trying, and we're gonna play 14 weeks, and we're gonna make sure we're there, and that have to happen. So it's awesome, great time. I'm blessed to be where I'm at, and I'm blessed to be with who I'm with, and really cool. Thank you guys, and thank everybody else that listens.
Quick little caveat: I hate to break up, but how awesome was it to have Caroline in the stands last night?
Oh, good, man. Those the 3 weeks on the road, there was no baby to hold after the game. It was hurting me. I had my dad on the sideline, but it's different holding my dad. So, really cool. So, glad we get to go back home again. I get to see her again. So
that's awesome.
Really cool journey for me, man, to have that in this season and where we're at. And I'm just so blessed and really cool.
Awesome.
Amen.
Go Owls.
Go Owls.